In today's video, we're taking a closer look at a simple, old-fashioned ingredient that can bring tired soil back to life: molasses. We'll explore why this sweet, sticky syrup works so well, what it does beneath the surface, and how a small splash can set off a chain reaction that expensive fertilizers can't match. Stay with me until the end to learn how molasses fuels the soil from the inside out.
Why molasses works, the science behind sweet soil energy. Molasses isn't just a thick, sugary syrup. In the garden, it behaves like a controlled burst of natural energy. Inside every tablespoon lies a mix of simple sugars, minerals, and trace elements that microbes can use instantly. Unlike slow-breaking organic matter, molasses requires almost no processing. As soon as it enters the soil in a diluted form, it becomes a direct energy source for the living community underground. What makes molasses uniquely powerful is how quickly it stimulates microbial activity. Soil bacteria respond to sugars the way a fire responds to dry kindling. They ignite. Their metabolism accelerates, their numbers rise, and they begin breaking down organic materials at a faster rate. This leads to improved nutrient cycling, richer humus formation, and better soil structure. The minerals in molasses also play a supporting role. Calcium helps maintain soil aggregation. Magnesium assists in enzyme processes, and iron boosts microbial respiration. Together, they create a more stable environment where roots can explore easily. Even moisture retention improves. As microbes multiply and organic matter increases, the soil becomes sponge-like, holding water more evenly. These combined effects explain why molasses has been used for generations. It feeds the life beneath the surface, and that life feeds the plants.
Feeding the microbial army. Why sugars matter underground. Beneath every healthy garden lies an invisible army. Billions of bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms working together to support plant life. Their survival depends on carbon, and the simplest form of carbon they can consume is sugar. This is where molasses becomes invaluable. When you add a sugar-rich solution to your soil, you're giving these tiny workers the fuel they need to wake up, multiply, and build a stronger ecosystem. Sugars don't just energize microbes, they help them coordinate. Certain beneficial bacteria use available carbon to produce sticky substances that bind soil particles, improving structure and creating tiny air pockets. These pockets allow oxygen to move freely, which is essential for root growth and nutrient absorption. Fungal networks respond in similar ways, stretching farther and forming partnerships with plant roots that help draw water and minerals from deeper layers. With more food available, beneficial microbes quickly outcompete harmful ones. This natural balancing effect can suppress diseases, reduce root stress, and make the garden far more resilient. Plants respond almost immediately. Leaves regain color, growth becomes steadier, and soil that once felt lifeless begins to smell rich and earthy again. By feeding the microbial army with something as simple as molasses, you're strengthening the foundation of your entire garden. It's not the syrup itself that feeds the plants, it's the thriving life it awakens.
The root explosion effect, how molasses triggers fast, deep growth. One of the most impressive effects gardeners notice after using molasses is what many call the root explosion. It's not magic, and it's not even the molasses itself feeding the roots. It's the sudden surge of microbial activity around them. When microbes multiply rapidly, they begin breaking down organic matter far more efficiently, releasing nutrients in forms that roots can absorb instantly. This creates a nutrient-rich zone surrounding the plant, almost like a halo of available food. Roots naturally respond by branching, elongating, and seeking out this abundance. Another key factor is the improvement in soil structure that follows a healthy microbial bloom. as bacteria and fungi create glues and filaments that bind soil particles. The ground becomes loose, airy, and full of pathways. This is the perfect environment for roots to dive deeper without resistance. Deep roots mean better drought tolerance, stronger anchoring, and more access to trace minerals buried below the surface. Molasses also stimulates beneficial fungi, especially mycorrhizae, which extend the plant's root system far beyond its natural reach. These fungal threads act like an underground irrigation and nutrient pipeline, delivering phosphorus, micronutrients, and water directly to the plant in exchange for carbon. Together, these changes create a dramatic transformation. Young plants establish faster, transplants adapt quickly, and mature plants suddenly show renewed vigor. What you see above ground, greener leaves, sturdier stems, faster growth, all begins with this unseen underground burst. With just a small dose of molasses, you're helping roots do what they were designed to do: explore, expand, and strengthen.
Molasses versus store fertilizers. Why old remedies still win. Commercial fertilizers promise fast results, but they often do so by bypassing the natural processes that keep soil healthy. They deliver nutrients in a concentrated form, which can lead to quick green growth, but rarely builds long-term soil structure or microbial health. Molasses works differently. Instead of feeding the plant directly, it feeds the living system that supports the plant. And in the long run, that system is far more important. When fertilizers are overused, they can create salt buildup, disturb pH levels, and weaken the soil's natural biology. Plants may become dependent on these artificial boosts, needing more and more to maintain the same level of growth. Molasses, on the other hand, enhances the soil's own capacity to deliver nutrients. It encourages microbes to break down organic matter, frees up minerals already present in the ground, and improves the soil's ability to hold water and oxygen. There's also the question of balance. Synthetic fertilizers tend to emphasize a few major elements: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But healthy soil relies on dozens of trace minerals and compounds, many of which are unlocked only through biological activity. Molasses fuels that activity, making your garden less reliant on outside inputs over time. Old remedies like molasses win because they work with nature, not against it. They restore what modern products often strip away. By supporting the microbial web, improving soil texture, and keeping nutrients cycling naturally, molasses offers something fertilizers simply cannot: sustainable, long-term vitality that grows stronger with each season.
How to apply it properly. Ratios, timing, and soil conditions. Using molasses in the garden is simple, but a few thoughtful steps can turn a good result into an exceptional one. The key is balance. Enough sweetness to energize the soil, but not so much that you overwhelm it. For most gardens, a mild solution works best. 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses per gallon of water. This concentration is strong enough to wake up the microbes, yet gentle enough for regular use throughout the growing season. Timing also matters. Molasses is most effective when applied during warm soil conditions, ideally above 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is when microbes are naturally active and ready to multiply. Early spring, midsummer, and early fall are excellent times to add molasses, but it can be used anytime as long as the soil isn't cold or waterlogged. Some gardeners prefer to pair molasses with compost tea, worm castings, or aerated teas. In these cases, the molasses acts as the starter fuel that supercharges the brew, creating a living solution that brings a tired bed back to life. Application is flexible. You can water it in at the base of plants, spray it over soil, or even use it as a drench before transplanting. It mixes well with organic fertilizers such as fish emulsion or seaweed extract, giving them an extra boost. Just remember, molasses is about nurturing the soil,
not feeding the plant directly. Think of it as a way to wake the ground up, helping it support your vegetables, flowers, and perennials with renewed strength. Soil drainage matters too. Well-aerated soil responds beautifully to molasses, while compacted or soggy beds may need loosening before treatments can show full results. When your soil has space for air and life, those sugars can circulate freely and support the ecosystem underground. With thoughtful timing and the right ratios, molasses becomes one of the simplest, most powerful allies you can add to your gardening routine.
Common mistakes gardeners make and how to avoid them. Even though molasses is gentle and natural, there are a few pitfalls that can limit its benefits or even cause problems if overlooked. The most common mistake is overuse. Because molasses seems harmless, some gardeners pour it on too frequently or at very high concentrations. But too much sugar can create imbalances, leading to microbial spikes followed by sudden drop-offs, or even sticky soil that attracts pests. Staying with the classic tablespoon per gallon ratio once every few weeks keeps the soil's rhythm steady. Another mistake is applying molasses to cold soils. When the ground is chilly, microbes are slow and inactive, meaning the sugars simply sit in the soil without being processed. This can cause mild fermentation or an unpleasant smell. Always wait for warmer conditions so the microbial community can respond the way it should, with steady, healthy growth. Some gardeners mix molasses with synthetic fertilizers, expecting extra power, but this combination often disrupts the soil biology you're trying to nurture. Salt-heavy fertilizers can harm the very microbes molasses stimulates. If you want to pair it with something, choose natural partners like compost tea, fish fertilizer, or seaweed extracts. A less obvious mistake is applying molasses to compacted or poorly drained soil. Microbes need air, and without it, the soil becomes anaerobic, a condition where harmful bacteria thrive. Before adding molasses, loosen the soil with a fork, add compost, or top dress with leaves to improve structure. Then, the sugars can feed the beneficial organisms that rebuild the soil from within. Lastly, impatience can spoil the experience. Molasses isn't a quick-fix product. It works slowly, building a foundation of health under your feet. If you stick with it, applying it gently and consistently, your garden will reward you with richer soil, stronger plants, and a true sense of partnership with the land.
Perfect plant partners: vegetables, flowers, and trees that benefit most. While nearly every living plant enjoys healthier soil, some respond especially well to the subtle power of molasses. Root crops are among the first to show dramatic improvements. Carrots, beets, radishes, parsnips, and turnips all thrive when the soil around them is rich with active microbes. Because these plants rely on deep, steady root development, the extra microbial activity created by molasses helps them form straighter roots, improve flavor, and better texture. Fruit-bearing vegetables are another group that benefits greatly. Tomatoes, peppers, squash, cucumbers, and beans grow stronger when supported by rich soil biology. Molasses helps create that biological foundation, giving these crops a more reliable nutrient supply throughout the season. Gardeners often notice sturdier stems, increased flowering, and improved resistance to stress and drought, quiet advantages that accumulate over time. Flowers respond too. Heavy bloomers such as roses, dahlias, zinnias, sunflowers, and marigolds flourish when microbial life is strong. Molasses encourages beneficial fungi that help plants access phosphorus, the mineral responsible for root strength and vibrant blooms. Over time, this leads to fuller blossoms and longer-lasting color. Fruit trees and shrubs are perhaps the most grateful partners of all. Apple trees, berry bushes, figs, and stone fruits grow more vigorously when soil microbes are abundant. A molasses drench in early spring and another in midsummer helps trees establish deeper, more resilient root systems that withstand heat, cold, and dry spells with greater stability.
Even perennials appreciate the gentle boost. Plants such as hostas, peonies, coneflowers, and lavender show renewed vigor when the soil community beneath them is thriving. Molasses doesn't feed the plant directly. It feeds the system that supports the plant. And when that system is alive and balanced, everything growing in it benefits in ways that ripple throughout the entire garden.
A seasonal ritual. Using molasses to build long-term soil health. Molasses becomes truly powerful when it shifts from an occasional experiment to a quiet, steady ritual. Instead of treating it as a quick fix, imagine it as a seasonal rhythm, a way of tending to the soil with patience and gentleness. When used throughout the year, molasses feeds the underground world in small, nourishing pulses, helping beneficial microbes establish deep, self-sustaining communities. In early spring, a light molasses watering wakes the soil from winter's rest. Microbes respond to the sugar like birds responding to the first warm sunrise, slowly stretching back into activity. As seeds begin to sprout, this renewed microbial life helps young plants access nutrients that would otherwise remain locked away. During the summer months, molasses supports the soil during periods of stress, heat, rapid growth, and heavy watering. Instead of letting the soil become depleted, those warm season applications rebuild the microbial population so plants remain steady and resilient. Gardeners often notice fewer signs of stress, slower drying of beds, and richer soil texture by midsummer. In autumn, molasses becomes part of the garden's winding down ritual. A gentle drench before mulching helps microbes break down leaves, straw, and compost more efficiently. By the time spring comes again, the soil is darker, softer, and more alive than it was the season before. Over the years, this rhythm transforms a garden. Beds that were once dry, stubborn, or lifeless become rich and crumbly. Roots grow deeper, plants live longer, and the soil begins to feel like an old companion. Someone you tend to, season after season, knowing that every small gesture of care will return to you many times over. Molasses may be simple, but when woven into the seasons, it becomes one of the most reliable and heartfelt ways to build soil health that lasts.
And that's the quiet power of molasses. A simple, humble ingredient that brings life back to the soil in ways we can't always see, but always feel. If you choose to make it part of your gardening rhythm season after season, your plants will thank you in their own gentle way, with deeper roots, richer soil, and steadier growth. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and may your garden feel a little more alive with every step you take.